प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Padmanayana Prabhu, I'm here.
Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji Dhanavad Pranam. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. So we'll start now. Sudama Prabhu, so from now on, you keep on joining new people when they are coming. I will not bother about them from now on.
Yes, Prabhuji.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरोभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। सर्वशास्त्राब्धिपीयूष सर्ववेदैकसत्फलः सर्वसिद्धान्तरत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकदृक्प्रद सर्वभागवतप्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिधान्तोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानन्दपाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षरायते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमस्तु मे। मदेकबन्धुमत्सङ्गेन मद्गुरो मन्महाधना मन्निस्तारकमद्भाग्य मदानन्दनमस्तु ते। असाधु साधुतादायिन् अतीनीचतारक हानमञ्च कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा हृत्कण्ठय स्फुरा। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Thank you, dear devotees. It's very nice to see all of you today. Very eager to study Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in your saintly association, we'll try to discuss the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam today. So, I will share this slide with you now. Sudama Prabhu, you can take the attendance of two devotees who are joining today.
Yes,
After
Prabhuji.
after this class, I am going to close the group. Okay, I'm not going to add anyone. Those who are in the group but not in the class, I will, exclude them from the group. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. So we had discussed today is our first lesson. This is introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, lesson number 1. And in last class, we had gone through the orientation program where we discussed about the mode of studying Srimad Bhagavatam, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and also we briefly looked into the assessment criteria, marking system. So if you are joining today for the first time, you are not aware of what we discussed in the last class, in particular regarding assessment, you can speak to Sudama Prabhu, who will be our coordinator for this program. Then Prabhu will explain to you. So today we're going to start with the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the overview of chapter 1 continues like this. First three verses are the Mangalacharan prayers composed by Srila Vyasadeva. Mostly he's speaking about the signs of the absolute truth in the first verse. Then from verse number 4 to 8, the brief history have been described how the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Saunaka Rishi, asked different questions to Sutta Goswami, because Sutta Goswami was qualified in all the Vedic literatures, including Puranas and Itihasas. So what is the best course of action for the entities of this age of Kali? So in that context, he also speaks about the qualities of the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam and hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how the brief description from 4 to 8. Then from 9 to 23, there is a discussion about the entities of the sage of Kali, Manda, Sumanda, Mataya, Manda, Bhagya, Upadruta. Then Sutta Goswami briefly he discusses about the questions by the sage. Actually, sages ask the questions, 6 questions are asked in the next set of verses until the end of chapter 1. So in the beginning of this work, we need to take a look at the preface. So I had given you this task last time. I hope you have read the preface. Kindly share with us the role of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam plays in his mission. Kindly share your thoughts and ideas. What do you find about what is the significance of Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam? When we say Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam means Bhaktivedanta purports mostly. Prabhupada has not written Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has given purport. So what Prabhupada is expecting, what is the mood reflected in preface? So kindly share with us. You can refer to that particular statement which you may like, how Srila Prabhupada's purports are torchlight for our mission. So kindly share with us.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Radha Keshav Prabhu.
Since there is lack of principles in the civilization, which godless civilization, so Prabhupada wanted this to be an universal education to be introduced in colleges and schools, so that the human society will have a better understanding how to be civilized. It's a basic principle for a human being. That is what he is expecting and he is proposing, and his objective and mission of this movement, which is being applied by the movement today, is with lots of classes, with lots of preaching happening without any color, class, creed. So people with different modes of nature are joining this movement, and in a way the objective is being met by the followers of Srila Prabhupada.
Excellent. Any other thoughts, points you would like to share from what you have read from Prabhupada's preface? Sankarshan Chaitanya Prabhu.
Yet the subject matter to know the Krishna as a supreme controller or the ultimate source of cosmic manifestation. But beyond that is how to establish our relationship with supreme controller That subject matter is precisely addressed in Bhagavatam. So this is beyond knowing the fact that Krishna is a supreme person, but how to establish our eternal relationships with Krishna is a main subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, like Radhakeshwar Prabhu you mentioned about, Srila Prabhupada says, the subject matter of the Bhagavatam should be introduced in schools and colleges. He referred to the preface. Similarly, I am expecting some reference from the preface to explain Prabhupada's Bhagavatam's role in the present society.
Yes, Prabhu.
Narottam Vilas Prabhu, you can kindly raise your hand, then I will call you. You don't have to wait until the speaker finishes. You can raise your hand. Yes, Narottam Vilas Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhuji, Prabhupada especially writes in the second paragraph of the preface about the material progress the present society has made in terms of education, economic development, everything. But there's a gap. Prabhupada writes there's a pinprick somewhere in the social body, and there's no unity among, there's no peace, friendship. There's no common cause in between all of them. They're all individual kind of mentality. And Prabhupada very amazingly fills in saying that Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need. And I love this sentence very much, for it is a cultural representation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. It's this beautiful beautiful line Prabhupada writes. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill that need and make that there's a cohesion, the thing which actually will unite everyone, and that will be Srimad Bhagavatam's role. I just love that sentence Prabhupada made. And the way to start will be not in advanced age, but it should be started right from the school, colleges, or from the childhood. Kaumaram Acharit Prajna, with Prabhupada writes. Prabhupada tells what is the role and when to introduce as well, Prabhu.
Good, excellent.
Prabhuji, I'd like-
Cultural representation. How do you like this? So see how Prabhupada, he puts his mood in. In the present society, in the name of culture, people take up so many different types of material assignments, thinking it is going to make them happy. They will be peaceful, they will be prosperous, but there is no common cause. They have missed the link. So in that way, by helping devotees, helping the people of this world to understand about the science of the absolute truth, as it is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is nothing but a cultural presentation that will help the entire human civilization to become spiritual. So to re-spiritualize the entire human civilization, Prabhupada's purport is going to play a very, very important role. And so we, the followers of Krishna consciousness movement, we need to first of all understand Prabhupada's purpose vividly. Then we can also distribute to the others to fulfill Prabhupada's vision. Nitya Narsimha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam Prabhu. Here in the preface, Srila Prabhupada is telling that simply by careful reading, one will know God perfectly well. Reading will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. The reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle.
What do you understand by careful reading?
Yes, Prabhu, careful means we need to go in detail. It is not like casual reading. We need to go like chapter by chapter, canto by canto. We should not directly jump into the 10th canto. Here Srila Prabhupada is very clearly telling one is sure to become a God-realized soul at the end of finishing the first 9 cantos. So we should go very systematically. That is what now we are into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you. You all have taken
Thank
this approach to go through systematically, beginning with first canto. After having completed first 9 cantos, then we can go to the Samambonam, the 10th canto, which is the topmost topic of Srimad Bhagavatam explained We are not taking any haphazard approach. So we want to go systematic way. Okay. Anandini Radhika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Mhm.
Just from the preface, like Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science, not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with him and our duty toward perfection of the human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge.
Excellent. So, kindly share your thoughts.
So basically establishing our connection, like Prabhupada and our guru is kind of throwing the torch, like for us to know Krishna, and our mood should be like we are the servant, das das anudas. So Prabhupada is going to connect us through Srimad Bhagavatam, and also in continuation with this, Prabhu, like it is powerful reading matter in the Sanskrit language, and it is now rendered into English elaborately, so that simply by, as Prabhu already mentioned, careful reading. So Sanskrit probably would have been much difficult for us to understand, but Prabhupada made it easier for us and bringing it up to us in English language, which is kind of most commonly used, so that we can make some attempt to learn more about Krishna and get connected to Krishna.
Excellent. You see, before
you.
Prabhupada, there are so many editions of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even till today also, there are many editions of Srimad Bhagavatam available from other societies. Mostly, they have Sanskrit verse, and then maybe you can say either Hindi or English translation. Hardly any purport is seen. And mostly those who are learned scholars, they refer to the commentaries given by various acharyas in their line. Maybe Balabhacharya has given commentary in his line, they are following. Bir Raghavacharya has given, so many other acharyas, like Siddhar Swami has given, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Baldev Vidyabhushan, so on. So in that way, different devotees, they follow their acharyas' writings. But just imagine, had Prabhupada not translated the essence through in English, we would remain in complete darkness. We will not be able to have access to the science of the absolute truth. So this is a very, very wonderful opportunity given to us by our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I would seek blessing from Prabhupada so that by understanding my own weaknesses or limitations, I would like to first submit myself onto his lotus feet so that I would be able to understand his words correctly, and then we can discuss for the advancement of our Krishna consciousness, advancing in Krishna consciousness. Thank you. So now maybe one or two devotees I will take, not many. Arun Lakshman.
Haribol Prabhu. So in this Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there's so much pestilence and war and conflict going on. So what struck me from the preface is when Prabhupada says there's a need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Right? And Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. So that particular line was discussed before, but it's really important because especially in this age, it's so much relevant, given that, it's an age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So how do we bring everybody together with the common cause? So that really struck me, Prabhu.
Bhagavatam tells us, speaks, introduces us to Krishna, who is the personality of Godhead and who is the cause of all causes. By knowing Krishna, who is the center of everything, and we can connect ourselves to the center and help others to connect with the center, that will help to re-spiritualize the entire human society, where everybody can be in, as Prabhupada says, peace, friendship, prosperity. So in that way, this is the common cause, Krishna. Thank you. So this is a very important task we are undertaking today. And I hope by Prabhupada's mercy, we will be able to fulfill Prabhupada's desire in our study. The last comment, Rajesh ji. would you like to share your thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam. I just wanted to add what was already discussed. Prabhupada says at the start that the mission of the Lord is to deliver the fallen souls, and the idea of spiritual communism based on oneness of the human society is required, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and more specifically the first verse, will establish the idea of the common cause.
Okay, thank you, dear devotees. It's very nice to hear all of your wonderful realizations and appreciation about Prabhupada's purports. And as we go studying this book, you will have more appreciation and more deeper understanding about Prabhupada. And I hope Krishna also will be with us in this study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so you have one open book assignment from today's class. The open book assignment given in your handbook is somewhat different from what I have presented on the slide just now. Kindly take a note of this question. Sudama Prabhu, maybe you can forward this question to all the students, those who are eager to write a response. In fact, we will be very happy to see a response. I would say this is a mandatory question for all of you in this unit. I want all of you to write a response to this open book question. This is an essay type question. You can respond between 600 to 800 words, word limit. So the question goes like this. In your own words, explain how in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text number 1, Srila Vyasadeva establishes Krishna as the absolute truth with reference to the Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana, Prabhupada's comments, examples, specific Sanskrit words, and supportive verses from Bhagavad Gita. So I hope this question is clear. Is there any clarification required for this question? Or it is clear?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Next my beloved says also Prabhupada, I joined a little bit late because of an internet connection problem. And I don't see raised hand in my screen here. So I couldn't participate in the beginning first 6-7 minutes. So
Okay.
this we have to write it and send it to you or what? This question.
So you have to write and send it to Sudama Prabhu.
So is the question in the handbook or we have to write this question now by our hand?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I will share all the question in the group.
Okay.
Yeah? And then I will send the email also address where you can actually submit it for all the devotees.
Okay. And by what time it has to be submitted by?
Prabhuji, last by what is the time limit? End of the unit?
Yes.
End of the unit.
End of the unit.
Yeah, this unit.
So how many classes before the unit is finished? Because there are chapters given in the handbook.
Six lessons.
Good.
So I'll appreciate if we can write a date also so we know by what date we're going to answer these questions in email.
Sudama Prabhu will send it that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I
very
will
much.
let you know the technical details, Prabhuji.
Thank
about
you.
this. Okay.
Thank you very much.
So in the beginning, Srila Vyasadeva, he writes Mangalacharan prayer. Se Mangalacharan hoy Trividha Prakar, Vastu Nirdesh, Ashirvad or Namaskar. So Mangalacharan has got three components. One is called Vastu Nirdesh, defining the objective of the book, then benedictions for the readers, then obeisances, offering obeisances to Guru and the Ishtadeva Vandana. So in that way, in the beginning of this work, Srila Vyasadeva, the first verse, he speaks about defining the objective of this book. As we know, Srila Vyasadeva, before he compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam, he had compiled all the Vedic literature, starting with dividing four Vedas, Puranas, Itihasas, Mahabharata, Ramayana. And then still he was not satisfied. Prabhupada also explains about this history in his purport. And then finally, by the grace of his spiritual master, Narad Muni, he compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is speaking about the glories of the personality of Godhead, how one can be engaged in the devotional service unto Krishna. That's how he became completely satisfied. So, in the beginning, Srila Vyasadeva, he explains the absolute truth. That is the objective of this book. Just 1 minute, I'll take some medicine. 1 minute. I need to take some medicine. Thank you. Okay, so the first verse, invocation verse, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I will chant this verse. You can memorize the verse by your own way, but I'll try to chant this verse according to the chanda which it is originally done with. It's called Sardula Bikridita Chanda. I will chant this verse. This is one of your memorization verses. You can memorize this verse and explain the translation in your own words. Janmadhyasya jatonmyaditaratas charte svabhigyashvarat tene brahma hridaya adikabaye muihantiyat suraya tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna shvena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi janmadhyasya yatanmayaditaratas charte svabhigyashvarat tene brahma hridaya adikabaye muihantiyat suraya tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna shvena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi janmadhyasya yatonmayaditaratas
चार्थेष्वभिज्ञः स्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि जन्माद्यस्य यतोन्मयादितरतश्चार्थेषु अभिज्ञो स्वराट्. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Here, this Vasudeva. This Vasudev conception means all-pervading personality of Godhead. Who is that? That is Krishna. That's how Prabhupada begins the translation saying, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Who? That is Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, who is the all-pervading personality of Godhead. Then, Janmadhyasya Yataha, from whom comes the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Everything comes from him. Anvayad itaratas chartheshu abhigya. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all the manifestations of this cosmos. He is Abhigya and he is the supreme independent personality of Godhead, Swarat. Unto the heart of Brahmaji, Tene Brahma Hidaya Adi Kavaye, Muhyanti Yat Suraya. So he imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahma, by which Brahma was able to create. So, and the great sages and demigods becomes confused, are put into illusion. How? Tejo bari mridam jatha vinimayo. It is because of him only these great sages and demigods are put into illusion. How? The example have been given. Tejo bari mridam jatha vinimaya. How they are builded? Like one is builded by the illusory representation of water seen in fire and land seen on water. Yatra tri sarga amrisha. Because of him, tri sarga, this manifestations of this material creation, which is nothing but an interaction of the three modes of material nature, appears real, amrisha, even though it is not real. Dhamna shvena sada nirasta kuhakam. His dhamma, his abode, is free from the illusory representation of this material world. Satyam param dhimahi. I meditate upon that supreme absolute truth. So in that way, Srila Vyasadeva, he, in the beginning, he meditates on the absolute truth. Here, this word dhimahi is a bahuvachana kriya. The verb is in plural. And this shows that the karta, the subject, should also have been in bahuvachana, means vayam dhimahi. We all meditate. Here the concept of Srila Vyasadeva is by taking all his disciples, the followers, the readers of Srimad Bhagavatam unto his lap, he is meditating on the absolute truth. But here, if you see, Prabhupada says, Vyasadeva saying, I meditate upon him. Sometimes in Sanskrit, the singular, the Uttam Purusha is also used in Bahuvachan sense. So in that way, there is no problem. So this is just something to know about the Sanskrit. So here, Srila Vyasadeva, he meditates upon the absolute truth. How he is meditating? By describing about the Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana. In this verse, the description about the absolute truth have been given by describing the two characteristic symptoms, Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana. So, while instructing Srila Sanatana Goswami, okay, I think maybe before I start, I have given some more questions to you as your homework. Would you like to share with us how can you describe Krishna as the absolute truth by taking reference from this verse to the Sanskrit texts and analogies or examples given by Prabhupada in his purport? I would request those devotees who have not spoken, if you would like to speak, that would be brilliant, excellent. Yes, Rangamay Krishna Prabhu, Ram Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandal Pranams. So, Prabhupada gives a couple of analogies in the purport to this particular verse. Okay, in one of the analogies, he talks about the modern scientists who have created a number of space satellites, and they have made the arrangements for these satellites to go into the orbit and fly around and so on and so forth. And the surprising thing is these are flying about with being controlled by someone who is located on Earth, and therefore they derive a sense of superiority arising out of that achievement. Okay. However, they fail to realize
would you like to refer to the Sanskrit?
Prabhu, I couldn't find the Sanskrit verse in this relation to this particular analogy. You can kindly guide us on that.
Yes, we'll look into it. Thank you. Advaita Charan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So another analogy was given is when a mine of gold and cosmic creation was compared.
Yes, good.
And there was one more analogy of chief engineer also given, that he does not personally take part in the construction, but knows every nook and corner because everything is under his supervision.
Excellent. Good. So you have some idea about how Prabhupada describes about the science of the absolute truth. Definitely, there is some reference to the Sanskrit part of the verse. So just I wanted to ensure that you have read this purport, because this is a very big purport, and sometimes some devotees that don't feel like reading it. They feel, oh, this is such a big purport. How to understand? How can I read so many pages? It's too difficult. Anyway, you have read it. You have some understanding. Now, I am going to explain to you by describing the Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana of the absolute truth as presented by Srila Vyasadeva. And then also we will explain each characteristics by referring to the analogies and the Sanskrit of this verse, and also sometimes we will be taking some reference from some other source to explain the concept clearly. When you are writing this essay, you can definitely, priority is given to the Sanskrit referred in this text, or from time to time, if you are taking one or two references from outside source, like we are presenting on the slide, that's also acceptable to us. So you need to know what are the different components of the question, and then accordingly, you can respond to it. Okay, so now we're going to explain to you by taking the reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Can you see the slide, Dhamma Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, but there's no words in it.
It's going to come. So while instructing Srila Sanatana Goswami about the science of the absolute truth, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, by referring to this first verse, 111, he says, Eis loke param sabde Krishna nirupan. In this invocation from Srimad Bhagavatam, the word param indicates Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we say param, sometimes some people they say, here param refers to the Supreme Spirit, the Supreme Cause, who is all-pervading, who is ultimately impersonal. There is no form. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly explains that in this verse, the word param refers to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the first line of Prabhupada's purport, he is saying, obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So later on, he keeps on describing about this Krishna who is all attractive. So in this connection, the main sentence of this text is Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate upon the absolute truth. And who is that absolute truth? Param Sabde Krishna Nirupan. So that means Vyasadev's object of meditation is indicated here as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param, Parameshwaram. Here by saying Param, he is speaking about Parameshwar. So who is that Parameshwar? That is Krishna. What is the reference? Prabhupada, he is speaking that in all the Vedic literature, especially Upanishads and all, they describe about Krishna as the Parameshwara. Would you like to give me some reference from Bhagavad Gita describing Param refers to Krishna? Who can? Yes. Narottam Vilas Prabhu.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji, it's Premarupa Madhaviti Dasi with you. Prabhu, Arjuna says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashwatam, Divyam, Adi Devyam, Ajam Vipu, in the 10th chapter.
Excellent. So Prabhupada also refers to that part in his purport. If you see, he said, Krishna, Arjuna confirms, as Krishna has explained about himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is taking the reference from the great sages like Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, etc. So in that way, here, when we say Param Sabde Krishna Nirupan, it is also backed up by the Bhagavad Gita. And so in this connection, would you like to recite some Bhagavad Gita verses to explain that this Param is not the impersonal absolute truth? It is a person, it is referred to Krishna. Can you prove it by referring to some Bhagavad Gita verses? Excellent. Umesh Prabhu. Good. Yes. Mattah parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is no superior truth than him. Who? Krishna is speaking directly about himself. So in this verse, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person. He is a person. There is an explanation in Nyaya Shastra. Just like everything is created has its form. So things which are created must be coming from someone who also is having a form. So in that way, here Param Sabde Krishna Nirupan Parameshwaram, that refers to the personality of Godhead, who is the object of meditation in personality feature, personality of Godhead. And elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, many places the reference have been given when Krishna is speaking in 12th chapter. Maya Vishya Manoji Mam Nitya Yukta Upashate Sadhya Prayopeta. So one who meditates upon that supreme form of Krishna, he is the topmost. So in that way, Klesha Dhikatrasti Sam Advyakta Shakta Chetasam. So in that, and also on the basis of Bhagavad Gita, we can explain that Krishna, who is the basis of the impersonal Brahman. In 14th chapter, text number 27, he says, Brahmano hi pratisthaham. I am the basis of impersonal Brahman. So in that way, in this verse, Param Sabda Krishna Nirupan, that refers to the person Krishna, not the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So Vyasadeva, he meditates upon the personality of Godhead Krishna. Then Satyam Sabde Kahetar Swarupa Lakshan. The word Satyam indicates his personal characteristics. I have given the question, you have to identify Swarupa Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. So Swarupa Lakshana of this verse is Satyam Shabda. The word Satyam is the Swarupa Lakshana. What is his Swarupa? Satyam, Param Satyam. Why it is said this Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the subject matter of meditation, is Param Satya? Why not the form of Lord Narayana, Rama, Nrsimha? They are Param Satyam. Why not? So here, as we know, that Krishna, who is the cause of all other incarnations, that is why he has been defined as Parameshwaram. To explain this, that he is Param Satya, Parameshwaram, he is complete. Srila Prabhupada, he is giving a very wonderful analogy to explain how Krishna is Param Satya. Why about Krishna it is said in this verse as Param Satya. Prabhupada, he writes in the purport, I'm just reading from the book. An atheist may argue that, okay, it is in page number 50 in your book. If you have book, you can very easily refer to, this is page number 50. In the middle of the paragraph, or you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line from the beginning of the paragraph, in the first paragraph, page number 50. An atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker. But of course, God is greater because he can create machines in duplicate male and female forms. The male and female forms of different types of machineries go on producing innumerable similar machines without God's further attention. If a man could manufacture such a set of machines that could produce other machines without his attention, then he could approach the intelligence of God. So here then further Prabhupada describes about Param Satyam, the supreme truth is he who has no equal or superior. This is confirmed in the Shruti mantras. So, Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetana Eka Bahunam Jagadidhati Kama. And also it is explained in the Shruti mantras how he is Param Satyam. Why he is Param? Because he is free from any deficiencies. That's how Prabhupada is giving this analogy that he can create a machine like male and female. They can keep on duplicating, producing similar type of machine without God's intervention afterwards. Have you found any scientist have so far invented any machine who can duplicate the similar machine without the scientist's hand further? No, you don't find such machine. That's why he's Param Satya. Satyam Param. Why? Param Satyam. Na tat samaschabhyadikascha drishyate. He is Asama Urdhva. Prabhupada explains in the same paragraph in the purport. He says, he is Asama Urdhva. That is the reference from Shruti mantra. Na tat samaschabhyadikascha drishyate. No one is found to be equal to him or greater than him. So in that way, he is Param Satyam, that is Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Param, Parameshwaram, Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram, Tam Devatanam Paramam Chadaivatam. So he is the supreme controller. Even in the Param Satya, the Krishna, personality of Godhead, who is the object of meditation, he is the greatest of all the demigods. Means he is also controller of all the Ishwaras. So in that way, he has been defined as Parameshwaram. And now, why does there appear to be reality in the material world? This is a big city. Looks like Dubai. Huh? Do you think there's a lot of reality here? Why does it appear real? Yes, Rangamaya Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, is it because the material world is only a reflection of the spiritual world, and therefore what we see over here necessarily has to exist in the spiritual world also? Although you're saying that there is an appearance of reality over here, it's not really real; it's temporary in that sense.
Yes. Good, excellent. It has got the connection with the absolute truth. Everything in this world is relative truth. Relative truth means the truth is dependent on something else. So whatever we see, the manifestations in this world is appears to be reality because of its connection with the supreme reality. So that is explained in terms of explaining the Swarupa Lakshana, the Swarupa of the Supreme Lord. The logical reason for being truth. Why it so appear in this material world, the cosmic manifestation as a reality. The logic have been given, reason have been defined by Srila Vyasadeva in this verse. This is also explaining about the Swarupa Lakshana, that is the logic. Yatra Trisharga Omrisha. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of material nature appear factual, although they are unreal. Atra Trisharga Amrisha. So here it is explained by Srila Sridhar Swami Bhutendriya Devata Rupa Amrisa Satya Satyataya Jat Satyataya Mithya Sargopi Satyavat Pratyate Tam Param Satyam Ityartha. Because it has its source, or you can say the connection with the Param Satya, that is supreme. That's how it appears to the reality. Even though we know Bhuta, Bhuta Indriya Devata Rupa Amrisa. So in the creation subject matter, when we discuss about creation, we will know that the tamas ahankar produces bhutas, pancha mahabhutas. Then the rajas ahankar, it creates indriyas, satvik ahankar, mind, and the demigods. So in that way, yatra tri sarga, this is tri sarga, sattva, raja, and tama, and they appear to be factual, although they are unreal. So it is explained by this example. The example have been given: Tejo vari mridam jatha vinimayo. One is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire and land seen on water. Prabhupada gives the example of the mirage in the desert. So the people, the students of science, they understand that when there is reflection on the water reservoir, when the sunlight is reflected on the water reservoir, the reflection is projected onto the air, and then by the movement of the air, it is reflected on some desert, in some land. Then the person, and then from there it is again reflected to the eye of the individual. Then he can see that water there. While driving on the road, those who are from the Middle East country, they have a better understanding about this Siddhanta, that when we are driving on the road, it looks like, no, there is water, but there is no water. This is happening because of the reflection. Why it is happening? Because of its connection with the Supreme. So Prabhupada explains as this mirage in his purport. Can somebody read from the slide?
Sri Vyasadeva says herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory. Like the mirage in the desert. In the desert mirage, there is no actual water. There is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality, but reality of which this is but a shadow is in the spiritual world. Absolute truth is in the spiritual sky, not the material sky. In the material sky, everything is relative truth. That is to say, one truth depends on something else. In actuality, there is no reality in the manifested world. There appears to be reality, however, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world.
Okay, so this is relative truth. It appears to be truth because the real truth is existing in the spiritual world. This is just a reflection. There is water somewhere. That's how you see water in the mirage. Not that the water concept that as you see in the mirage is means there's no water. There is no existence of the water. No, there is water somewhere. So similarly, what appears to be real here in this world, which is kind of relative truth, the real truth is there in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada also gives the example of the impersonalists who give impetus to the mundane sex desire, and because of not seeing the absolute truth as a person. So there is a understanding about the reality that exists in this spiritual world in relation to, sorry, the understanding of the reality of this material world is seen in relation to the reality that exists in the spiritual world, absolute and relative truth. Okay, Rupanuga Prabhu, you have some question. It looks like you want to ask question.
Yes, Prabhuji. I have difficulty understanding this concept of being real but not really real. So I get the point about relative truth, but does it mean that water, for example, in the material world exists because it exists in the spiritual world?
Okay.
Or does it mean that, you know, we're touching it but it's not really touching it?
I did not wanted to show that slide. Now I need to project that slide for your information. Okay, just give me a little time. I will. Just 1 minute. See, Prabhupada explaining this concept from this explanation, absolute and relative truth. Can you read, Prabhu? Rupanuga Prabhu?
Material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life.
Continue.
Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Consequently, man without information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all.
Okay, so in this connection, this example is very, very vivid and clear, but the understanding of the entire concept lies within the concept that whatever we see in this material world, that is nothing but a dream. It's like a dream world. In the dream, whatever you see, it looks like, oh, this is real. But as soon as you wake up from the dream, then you find, oh, that was all false. So in the cosmic manifestation, in this material world, whatever objects we are taking it for granted for our enjoyment, and we take it as a real. But when we wake up to Krishna consciousness, then we find this whatever drama happening in this world by using all these illusory representations of Krishna's energy is nothing but just a dream. The reality of which is seen in the spiritual world. That is the understanding. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Absolutely. So now Krishna is not contaminated by illusory representation. Somebody may say, yeah, it looks like because it is there in the spiritual world, so Krishna must be contaminated by the illusory representation of this material world. That's why, to clarify this point, Srila Vyasadeva is saying, Dhamna Shvena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. Krishna is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. So in that way, this the upadhi of this material world cannot touch Krishna. This is the clarity. Prabhupada writes on the purport to explain how Krishna is not contaminated by the illusory representation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarupa of the Lord manifested by his internal potency. And this potency is distinguished from the external potency, that is Maya, which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. Srila Vyasadeva makes a clear distinction between the two in this sloka. When you read the Chatusloki Bhagavatam, you will see that because of because of its relationship with Krishna, and Krishna entering into all aspects of this material creation, it appears real. So in that way, Krishna, even though he is as nimittopadana karana, means he is the material cause and efficient cause behind all this creation, but still he is not contaminated by the illusory representation. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat abhyakta murtina. He is pervaded in the entire universe. How? Prabhupada there he explains about the the High Court judge analogy. He says that the judge is, by judge's decision, somebody is being hanged, somebody is given with a lot of property, but judge has got nothing to do with all of this. He is neutral. So he is free from the contamination. So similarly here, Krishna, who is situated in his abode, he is not contaminated by the illusory representation of the material world. So, in this way, as we said, it is explained by Sriman Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami, two characteristics, Akruti Prakriti Swarup Sarup Lakshan, Karya Dvara Gyan Etatastha Lakshan. So far we are discussing about his personal characteristics, that's the nature of the absolute truth and his features. Then now we're going to discuss about his marginal characteristics, or you can say the Tatastha Lakshan. Before we continue, Narahari Dev Prabhu, you want to ask a question?
Yes, Prabhu. My question is the statement that you showed in the previous slide, where Prabhupada is saying that the indirect, so the emphasis is given that the Mayavadis are promoting mundane sex life by giving emphasis on the impersonal feature. I didn't understand the correlation. Can you maybe explain that part, Prabhu?
Because they do not accept Krishna as a person. There are certain Mayavadi philosophers who wants to merge with the absolute truth, and they think when the Supreme Lord, he comes in form of Krishna, he assumes a Maya Vigraha. That means his body is a product of this material nature. But they don't understand that Krishna's form is Satchidanandamay. Satchidanandamay Krishna Swarup. And when they accept Krishna's body as a product of this material nature, and they also perform this Shravanam and Kirtanam to merge with him, they don't go actually. They fall down. Arujya Krishna Param Padam Tatapatantyata. Because they have not given, there is not complete understanding about the personality of Godhead, who is Param Satyam. So that is the concept. In Bhagavad Gita, if you see the commentary of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he explains very clearly in this concept how this Mayavadi, they think about it. Okay, so here now we are going to discuss about the
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu, on the same point, like I'm not quite clear, because in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning to enjoy the sex life, you need a body, like, and that is possible in the spiritual or Adi Rasa Prabhupada is talking about. But the question is, Mayamadis, they are still talking about relishing the sex, but then without the body, how it is when they are actually in the material world, they do have body also.
No, Prabhupada is, try to understand this, what Prabhupada is saying. They are giving impetus to this material sex life. If you see, did you read it clearly? What is saying? Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life. Means those who really understand about the reality in the spiritual world, they don't get so much infatuated by this mundane sex desires. If you see the current world, the most of the advertisements are centered around how to enjoy the senses, how to gratify the senses. Why? Because they have not understood the reality of enjoyment is not seen in this material world. Then you may ask this question, oh, then what is going on here? Yes, the reality in the sense that when you understand the real life begins in the spiritual world, so now you follow Shastra and you practice your duties accordingly in this material world, which will one day help you to come to the spiritual world by realizing your own Swarupa, your relationship with the Supreme Lord, your service with the Supreme Lord. That time there will be purity in your service. Till then, you are just taking everything for your sense gratification, which is based on impersonal understanding about the personality of Godhead. How people who have not understand the person, those who have not understood the personality feature of the Supreme Lord, they do not become his devotee. That's why they take everything for granted to gratify their senses in this world. That is the impersonal feature of understanding about the personality of Godhead.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes, now it makes sense.
Good, thank you. Okay, so here now the Tatastha Lakshana is explained. So before Tatastha Lakshana, even Swarupa Lakshana also in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is explained. Krishnir Jataka Khala Sarvattama Naranila Narabapu Tahara Swarup Gopavesha Venukara Nava Kishora Natavar Naralilar Hoy Anurup. That is the actual Swarupa of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna Jataka Khala Sarvattama Naranila. Of all the pastimes of Krishna is formed as a human being is the best, the topmost. Narabapu Tahara Swarup. The form as a cowherd boy, we can see in Vrindavan, that is his actual transcendental form, that is his Swarupa. And Gopavesha Venukara, in this form, he is a cowherd boy and he is full, he is always in youth. Navakishore, not Ava, he is an expert dancer. So in that way, that is the actual Swarupa of Krishna. In our Sampradaya, that is what we see Krishna as Brajendra Nandan, Shyam Sundar, Gopijana Vallabh. And so that is his Swarupa. But how to understand his the Tatastha Lakshan, the marginal characteristics? Karya Dwara Gyan a Tatastha Lakshan. The Tatastha marginal symptoms are described through his activities. What is his activities explained in this verse? Vishwa Srishtyadi Kaila Veda Brahma ke Padhaila Artha Vignata Swarup Shakti Maya Dur Kaila. So here it is explained how he actually creates, maintains, and annihilate this cosmos. And even the first created being Brahma, being enlightened from within in his heart by Krishna, he was able to create. So in that way, everything is coming from him. That is his karya, that is his activities. That is the Tatastha Lakshan. In this verse, it is explained that Janma Dyasya Yataha Tam Dhimahi. Not that he is just, Vyasadeva is meditating on somebody who he does not know. Now he is describing about the secondary characteristics. What is that? He is saying, I meditate upon Krishna, Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna, the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universe. Srila Prabhupada, to explain this, he gives the analogy of the cosmos, which is created, maintained, and annihilated by his will. And also parallel, he gave the example of the scientists who control the space light, space satellite. So Prabhupada is speaking in the purport, the modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist who is far away. Similarly, all the universes with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is the ultimate controller. Everything is maintained, created, and annihilated by him. He is in complete control. Just like a scientist can create a satellite and he can control it. But Supreme Lord, who is supremely powerful, he can control the entire universe. Janma, Dyasya, Yata, everything is coming from him. So what is the difficulty to understand about his supreme position? When you are having so much estimation, so much glorification, when you glorify so much to your material scientists who can just create some space satellite, and which is very, very, very temporary for some time. Sometimes it fails also. But Krishna's creation never fails. Everything is running so smooth, so perfect. So in that way, Janma, Dyasya, that is his activity. He can create the universe and he can control the every aspect of the universe without any flaw. That is him. That is his activity. That is the Lakshana. And the logical reason for being primal cause of all causes, Anvayat itarata cha artheshu abhigyaha swarat. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly. And he is cognizant of all minute details and is fully independent. Some of you did refer to this engineer's analogy, the example. This is the Sanskrit part, Anvayat itarata, just artheshu abhigya swarat. He is abhigya, he is perfectly conscious of every aspect of this creation. And Swarat, he is the independent personality of Godhead. Just like giving the example of a chief engineer of a complicated construction. He knows everything about the construction. Why? Because he is directly, both indirectly associated with all the work of the construction. So similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is directly and indirectly associated with everything in this cosmos. So he is Abhigya and Swarat. So can somebody read this from the slide?
The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and he is cognizant of all minute details, and he is fully independent. He is compared to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creations in so many different forms are compared to objects made from the gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, and so on. The gold ring and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively, the gold in the mine is different. So I am conscious to a certain extent only, not fully. I am not abhigya. I am not very expert. These are simple truths, but these rascals are claiming that I am God. God is not only conscious, he is abhigya, very expert, knows everything, and swarat.
Continue, Mataji.
Now, to get abhigya or experience, we have to consult somebody. But God is swarat. Swarat means he is personally so independent that he doesn't require to take knowledge from anyone else. That is God.
Okay. So here, what we are trying to explain is that nobody should think that Vyasadeva, he does not know who his object of meditation is. The personality of Godhead, who is Avijñā Swarat, and directly and indirectly conscious about every aspect of this material creation. So to explain this, actually some people like Sankhyites, they say, well, Prakriti is the cause of everything. How do you defeat this argument? Can you quote some verse from Bhagavad Gita to defeat that Prakriti is not the cause of everything? Narottam Prabhu?
Krishna says, Maya Dakshena Prakriti Sute Sa Characharam. Material energy is under his control.
So Prabhupada also writes in his purport, he is explaining material nature is working under his direction. In this purport, he writes this. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna states that it is he only who superintends the creative energy, Prakriti, which constitutes the totality of matter. So in that way, in this connection, the philosophy of Sankhyites, who consider these different elements, like 24 elements, as they kind of calculate, is the cause of this cosmos. And sometimes they also define that it is already there, it is not created, it is not annihilated, it is always eternal. But whatever they say may be, with the basis of Bhagavad Gita verses, we can understand the Maya Dhyaksena Prakriti. This Prakriti is working under Krishna's superintendence. So Vyasadeva is not meditating on Prakriti. He is meditating on Swarat Purush. How he is different? Somebody may say that, well, are you meditating on somebody who is a person here? Maybe in this material world we have got big people like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, like many atheists who don't accept God, Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Are you meditating on them? Some people do worship these big personalities. Prabhupada explains. Atheist, no, he knows who he is meditating, the Swarat Purush. Atheists like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu had to undergo severe penance before they could flout the authority of the Lord. But ultimately, they were rendered helpless and could not save themselves when the Lord appeared before them as cruel death. This is also the case with the modern atheists, who also dare to flout the authority of the Lord. So there are some people in the atheist class who claim themselves as God, but you can understand that they are not Swarat. Why we are speaking like this? These atheists who have constructed big ashrams, Prabhupada explains in his purport, that they are dependent on the donation of a particular rich man in this world. They are not Swarat. What kind of God are you? What kind of independent person? No, you are not Swarat. So in that way, the meditation of Vyasadeva is on the Swarat Purusha, that is the personality of Godhead, Krishna. So now, are you?
Hare Krishna Padmanayana Prabhu.
Yes.
There is one question regarding this from Narahari Dev Mataji, Narahari Dev Prabhu, from previous slide. For Tatastha Lakshana, knowledge of his activities, does this refer primarily to his activities in this material world, example creation, maintenance and destruction, but not activities of the spiritual world?
No, aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate. He is conscious of everything in the spiritual world and material world, everything.
Sorry, Prabhu, maybe just I should clarify, because in you mentioned that the Tatastha Lakshana is knowledge of his activities which provide the marginal characteristics, right? So when we refer to Tatastha Lakshana, are they specifically for activities?
Okay, in this connection, yes.
Okay.
The activities of this material world, but you cannot just limit him that he knows only. No. I need to clarify that. No, sometimes it becomes a confusion afterwards.
Okay. Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes. I just wanted to understand the context better. So.
Yes, you should understand Krishna completely, not partially.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Aham sarvasya Prabhu. He knows everything, all spiritual and material. He knows everything. Okay. So here, no. Somebody may ask, are you meditating on Brahma? He says, no, I am not meditating on Brahma. Why? Tene Brahma Hidaya Adi Kabaye. That personality who I am meditating upon, he is the object of my meditation, that is Krishna. Who is he? He has imparted this Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahma, the original living being. So in that way, the object of meditation for Vyasadeva is the personality of Godhead Krishna. Okay. Any question or comment? Now, this is how we have completed the discussion about the Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana of the Absolute Truth. And also we have shown you different regions, explained regions and the examples to explain by referring to the Sanskrit of this verse and establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Absolute Truth. Looks like.
Prabhu, I just had one question.
Yes. Yeah.
Two, Prabhu. So Prabhu, Tatastha here means marginal or secondary, Prabhu? Because I know you said Swarup means primary quality.
Yeah.
And is Tatastha here referring to
Marginal,
secondary?
marginal.
Marginal.
Secondary, marginal also. Anyway, English term is sometimes little tricky. You can say marginal. Okay.
And Prabhu, and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the Vasudeva term also refers to the Swarup Lakshan because he's son of Vasudeva. Is that the way we can take it?
Here in this verse, Swarupa is Satyam. He
Satyam.
Satyam Sabde Kahitar Swarupa Lakshan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have a question. You quoted a few shlokas from the Chaitanya Charitamrita which define the Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana. Can you please say which, where in the Chaitanya Charitamrita these are, Prabhu?
This is mostly the discussion between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana Shiksha.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, so then the next part of our discussion is entering into present the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. Have you read it? From Prabhupada's purport, can you explain to us the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam? Some people say this Bhagavatam was compiled by somebody by the name Gopadev. So, would you like to share with us your thoughts and understanding from Prabhupada's purport to justify the authenticity of Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, Rupanuga Prabhu. Rupanuga Prabhu, you can unmute yourself and can respond. Prabhu.
Sorry about that. So in the Padma Purana, there's a reference of a conversation between Gautam Rishi and Ambarish Maharaj, where he says that if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, or rather read Srimad Bhagavatam if you wish to get liberation. So that's one reference that explains the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. Also in Matsya Purana, there is a reference to Gayatri Mantra. That's the Dhimahi. There were many narrations of the spiritual instructions beginning with the Gayatri Mantra. We also have the story of Vritrasura. We also have the reference about making a gift for Srimad Bhagavatam on a full moon day. And by doing that, one can achieve the highest perfection of life by returning to back home, back to Godhead. And in some other Puranas also there's a reference to Bhagavatam, which says very clearly that this work of Srimad Bhagavatam will be finished in 12 cantos, and it will include 18,000 verses, shlokas. Lord Chaitanya also called it the Amal Purana, and distinguished it from all other Puranas. So that's what I got, Prabhu.
Excellent. You have covered all the points. You have covered all the points very nicely. So dear devotees, I hope you can take a note on from Prabhupada's purport to what just Prabhuji explained. So I'll just present a few slides for your reference. Relationship between Srimad Bhagavatam and Gayatri Mantra. Kindly read, somebody can read from the slide.
The relationship between Srimad Bhagavatam and the Gayatri Mantra. According to Sridhara Swami in his Bhavartha Deepika, Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri Mantra. Commenting on the first verse of the Bhagavatam, he writes, Dhimahiti Gayatra Param Bhena cha Gayatri Akhya Brahma Vidya Rupam Etat Puranam iti Darshitam. That the Gayatri phrase indicated by the word Dhimahi begins with this Purana shows that this work has the nature of the Brahma Vidya, Vedic knowledge of the Supreme called Gayatri, Tattva Sandarbha.
So this is directly coming from Tattva Sandarbha. It is self-explained. There is nothing to comment.
This Gayatri Mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting Gayatri Mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahmanical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri Mantra successfully and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, His name, His fame, His qualities, and so on.
So from this narration, we should not take this chanting of Gayatri Mantra in a casual mode. It is meant for the spiritually advanced devotees, and when they, after attaining the proper Brahminical qualifications, they chant this mantra according to Prabhupada, they can enter into the pastime of the Supreme Lord, and they can finally gain the entry to his abode to serve him in a particular way. So that is how the initiation refers to the initiation on Krishna mantra, the Gayatri mantra. So here the Dhimahi refers to the Gayatri mantra, the subject object of our meditation, that is Akhila Rasamrita Murti Prasimara Ruchiruddha Taraka Pali Kalita Syama Lalita Radha Prayan Vidhur Jayati. This Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, who is the embodiment of all rasa, and he excels in all glories. We are not just meditating on Narayana, Nrsimha, Varaha, any other form. That Krishna who can bring Radha, Lalita, his Shopaksha gopis, and also the gopis who are coming in the name of Palika, Taraka. So all the understanding is very clear. Then the devotee, by chanting this mantra, is perfectly situated in spiritual glories, and then he attains the transcendental abode of the Supreme Lord. With this mantra, the Dhimahi, the Bhagavatam starts. So authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just Prabhu has mentioned, I'm just putting a few slides. Somebody can read this.
Some Mayavadi scholars. Some Mayavadi scholars argue that Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Shri Vyasadeva, and some of them suggest that this book is a modern creation written by someone named Gopadeva. In order to refute such meaningless arguments, Sri Sridhara Swami points out that there is reference to the Bhagavatam in many of the oldest Puranas.
Yes, Mataji.
This first sloka of the Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri Mantra. There is a reference to this in the Matsya Purana, which is the oldest Purana. In that Purana, it is said about the Bhagavatam that in it there are many narrations of spiritual instructions, that it begins with the Gayatri Mantra, and that it contains the history of Atrasura.
Yeah. That Purana which contains the history of Vritrasura is Srimad Bhagavatam. You find here in this narration the story of Vritrasura. Next.
Anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains to the highest perfection of life by returning to Godhead. There is reference to the Bhagavatam in other Puranas also, where it is clearly stated that this work was finished in 12 cantos, which include 18,000 slokas. In the Padma Purana, also there is a reference to the Bhagavatam in a conversation between Gautama and Maharaj Ambarisha.
Continue, Mataji.
The king was advised therein to read regularly Srimad Bhagavatam if he desired liberation from material bondage. Under the circumstances, there is no doubt about the authority of the Bhagavatam. Within the past 500 years, many erudite scholars and acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishvanatha Chakratarti, Vallabhacharya, and many other distinguished scholars, even after the time of Lord Chaitanya, made elaborate commentaries on the Bhagavatam, and the serious student would do well to attempt to go through them to better relish the transcendental messages.
Okay, this is how we are completing our discussion about the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which explains about the signs of the absolute truth. So in today's lesson, we have covered the understanding part. We saw the overview of chapter 1, discuss about 3 parts of Mangalacharana prayer, Bhakti Nirdesha, Srivada, and Namaskar. Then we have established Krishna, the absolute truth, with reference to Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshan, and the Sanskrit and analogies in 111. Discuss the relationship between absolute and relative truth. Establish the authority of Bhagavatam with reference to the Puranas and nearby scholars. So, what we'll do is reading assignment for the next class. Dear devotees, I beg your pardon for today. Actually, my health is little kind of, giving still problem. I'm not able to sit comfortably for a long time. So that's why I had planned to complete this class today a little early. And I had decided to cover only one verse. If you have understood correctly, then you can write your assignment. Then you can be free to the next class. In the next class, we will have from text number 2 until the end of this chapter. We'll try to cover everything. There is mostly questions, not much to discuss. We'll be able to successfully cover the entire section. So kindly read this section and these are your homework. Because we have added only 2 points. Sudama Prabhu can forward this reading assignment, this task to you all in the group. Okay, so maybe what we can do is now we'll just conclude the class, and after that, if somebody would like to know something about the test, we can spend some time. Huh? Okay,
just end quote for today's class. Somebody can read this.
Simply by a careful reading of one will know God perfectly well, so much so that the reader will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. Over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle.
Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for your cooperation. And so maybe what we can do is, if somebody would like to know anything in particular about the test, we can spend some time. Otherwise, I will just conclude here.
If you're not well, we can stop here. If you're not well, we can stop it here.
Okay, thank you for being kind to me. Actually, yesterday I went to see the doctor. There is some problem with my body, actually, I have been sick for a long time. And from yesterday night, I have started taking medicine. I hope things is improving. But as I'm sitting for a long time, you can see I'm not able to see it, I'm having difficulties. So that's why I decided to complete this class a little early today. Maybe what we can do is we can just discuss with Sudama Prabhu, and Sudama Prabhu, you can respond to them. And if there's something you don't know how to respond, then we can discuss.
చార్జర్ తెచ్చుకో పైనుంచి ఇది తీసుకో ఫోన్ తీసుకో నా కంప్యూటర్ కావాలి ఆఫీస్ ది.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, dear devotees, I have sent it to the WhatsApp group regarding your essay assignment, which is given by Padmanayana Prabhu. So we hope that you submit this essay before the next lesson. Yeah. Before the next season.
Next lesson, not
next unit. Unit. I meant to say.
Next unit, yeah.
Yeah.
In this unit, you want them to write 2 essays, Prabhu? Or 1 essay?
2 essays? Oh, 1 essay only for this unit. What do you want? Let me check.
Yeah.
It's 2 essays for this unit actually, because it's quite important chapter.
Yeah. So this is for 1 essay, which is mandatory. So I want all of you to write this essay, find a response to this essay, and then later on I'll tell you which is the another question you can write. You need to totally write 2 essays. Okay, so then finally, Sudama Prabhu, it looks like this group has got 52 students, because you and me becomes 54. So kindly confine the group within this 52 students. My dear devotees, please come on time, maybe at least 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes before the commencement of the class, so that we can do some kirtan, and we'll also spend some time about your given assignments, and then we can spend good amount of time in discussing the subject matter under discussion for the particular lesson. Thank you very much. I'll take your leave now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dhamma
Rama,
Prabhu, thank you very
Hare
much.
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Vaishnaveभ्यो नमो नमः.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Nanta Koti Vaishnava
की जय.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki
जय.
Jai.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dhamma Prabhu.